Okay, so we did very powerful lines of high set positional calculations. Engaging, viewing, advertising your systems, knowing exactly what you are through your consumers, your products, your byproducts of design. Now, this is all implemented in position lines of travel through implication system or through implants. Image centers has an operation screen that has a convert system lines of travel that processes into its memory card, which is its memory chip, and that goes through power acceleration setting screen lines adaptation of flux that processes you in all lines of travel. So this helps you to get in directions how the body has to be in full alignment with the system, so it knows exactly, comes back to its AI of its machine. Okay, the machine is just the alteration of its setting, what it's an MK Ultra, which is the game itself that you guys are playing. MK Ultra is just the mind adjusting your system, how you go calculate and modify to the knowledge of you and levels and how you process that through indications. AI settings equals set position of formation to grounds, grounding sequence, grounding levels, grounding travels into the mind convergence. Okay, so when you come back to the foundation systems, you start logging into space. And you'll reference everything in alphabetical line, letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, what are foundations. That helps you in position your settings all through calculation system. Logging into space is crucial because you come into more of foundation, which you are in settings, which are your 24 systems, your 24 alignments, and your 24 clockings of zero gravity. Right? That everybody comes in that position line setting back to 0, 1. All right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's back in your foundation. 12 dimension, 12 rotations, okay, into 12 projections. That's going to be modified in how you see lines ascending to your inputs and your outputs of design. Okay. Everything I do is travel. So mind traveling into setting is machine operated to its system that self-identifies everything in location to its cycle. So coming in that position of its system, line centers, directing the lines, position all levels of flux, 4 to 2 locations, setting calculations all through operation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lines of calculation grounds. It's all the lines of travel. Mind lines, conceptual lines of bedding. Fortitude, longitude, latitude in wind strips, line conditions of film strips of design line. Now, this puts lines of recourse in set line calculation system. Remember I told you about the eye lines where you can change the flux, the propellers, and all lines to its mind adaptation and travel, the lotus and all communication systems into the flow direction of time frame. Well, that brings you in the foundation of your systems, of your clocking systems at 24. But your Earth is going to go back to its foundation of itself. So the same thing is going to recognize this position of its system. It's going to wake up to its cycle, back to itself, via generation, which is its machine operation. So that's the machine itself coming back to itself. So it identifies everything that it does. So its own AI platforms process the position of all communications that gets in converted system through its adaptation of flux that processes in lines of travel. So implicates its systems, all through mind, inception itself. Okay. Very powerful design when you start to recognize these. It's all lines of position with settings, also communication. Mind travels, directing everything that we go in time flux, correlations flux, communication ground, sense, longitude, latitude, streaming. Knowing how to implement set centers of travel, going through the game lines in your memory cards, in your memory chips, nanochips, microchips, or anything in that positions, operation chips, communication chips, grounding chips. You know, I mean, there's all communication setting, how we process that, cyber chips, right? Every game has a format and set lines of travel. Okay, but everything's set up to its own platform. It's that location of your system, which is your simulation. So this indicates all lines of flux, all lines of travels, all lines of indication system, all through calculation grounds. Okay, so it's just reshaping your anomalies, restructuring divisions, and realigning its calculation setting all through the foundation itself. Okay, so very powerful when you look at that all through design of simulation setting. But it travels all together, right, through integration. So it's amazing how you create these things through anomaly. It's already structured in your sensing from structure steps of travel. Okay, so your drawings just become more complicated, like I said. So this is going to help you to process your foundations coming into your system 0, 1. Knowing exactly how to use that in codification setting, because your body just becomes a coding of its own factors, so its own square roots, triangulation over its box, directing the imposition of trifactor, setting online communication with systems off the supposition of operation and calculation. Okay, but look what it designs, right? It's amazing how it synchronizes all in one setting, right? So this is where it comes into position location to its brain capacity, modification capacity, correlations capacity, high lines of capacity, formation lines of grounds capacity, high direct lines of ground communications of capacity. Capacity is everything into AI generation. So you have to truly understand how to see the brain convergence setting in depth, process in positions, all through structure, all through design, all through operation, all through sequence. That gets you in positions and set lines of travel. Okay. Creating things through anomaly is a very powerful force in set time frame. The process here indicates how you go through inputs, your outputs of design. That gets you in a higher communication lines of balance of what you do in a travel. And it's amazing how you come into your systems, how to create through all levels, not just in anomalies, but all through simulation. Okay, all through calculation grounds. But coming back to the machine operation of view identification, whoa, doesn't get any more powerful than that. Set lines of travel. Okay, and then you work with everything inside the simulation itself. Okay. Okay, work on that setting so you set up highways and convergence. So I'm just getting you guys a depth, how to process that. You guys have your test tomorrow. We'll go through that procedure. Go through blue line signals, highways over travels, directing ground centers and cross location of angles. Indicate over ground centers, that's bringing in the red signal locations and convergence. Out signal locations outside travels and direct lines of link. Have communication setting, right? So overrides everything. This comes out combustion, right? So it's coming out of the screen. I just want you guys to understand how to modify these things. So we set a gold triangulation, gold convergence, gold box frame, and convergence settings in brackets, like just in convergence setting, all through calculation grounds, and high sequence location and calculation of zero line operation. Okay? So it's amazing how you bring these things out through this equation. Okay. It's trippy, isn't it? Because you see layer, 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 layer. How many dimensional layers are there? 12, 24, 48? Well, that depends on your frequency, how fast you're going in your minds. Right? But it's very confusing to your mind, right? That's the optical illusion. Right? That's the optical illusion. So the more you add layers, the more you add dimension of space. The more you add the capacity of volume, mass, velocity, acceleration, and Mach. Okay, so just keep going on. So it changes all formation in your systems, all through attractions, all through communication settings, all through set position of operations. Okay? But it's amazing how it travels on its own system of operation. Look at the coloration lines of patterns in set position. Your simulation game is already set up. Okay? Which is the output. The input is you recognizing your system. Okay, truly understand how to modify that position, location, the body of its alignment. So it's truly understand its foundation location, what it always been is 12 foundations. Never 12 clocking system. Okay, not 7 days a week, not age, not month, not year, not anything in set position, comes back to itself, a machine operation. The center operation, a machine operation of itself. That modifies everything that's already done through its operation of the system. Know exactly how to go to its course, to its recourse, knows how to go into a meta bed, knows exactly how to set up its location of its own game, of its own modulator. Yes, it's the module. Now you have to really understand how to modify that position to its navigation system and understand and see that through a memory chip location setting that goes to your memory cord, that processes your location of disk cord, and that communicates inside a convergence system of through setting. Then you go through an algorithm. Okay, what is the process on the earth? Okay, is it a 2-minute game? Is it a 5-minute game? A 6-minute game, right? You got to process that and indicate lines of time, lines of frequency, and set lines of travel. Okay? So 5-minute game, okay, is 500,000 hours, not 500,000 years. Right. So what you guys have to come in back into is the depth of school of what we did, what we got into in position locations before you implicate yourself and override yourself. Okay, so let's get in proposed centers, operation sequence, set lines of calculation grounds. Okay, override the signal location of travel. Okay. See that light? See? Connection light, convergent set lines of travel. That's position of absorb that probes every location of the detection. Every position of portal and Stargate has a door that you go through. Light signals, lines of grounds. Let's bring in the void, operationalize the signals, locations of flux to change the time, capacity, location, and measure. Okay? Which becomes a mirror, a resolution inside your system of the eye. Right? So it's really interesting when you come into that formation lines, because remember, everything is done through the eye itself. Okay? More powerful than you can imagine. Right? But you start just in the mirror of reflection. Right? Mirror of reflection. That's all it is in travel. Okay? Now, like I said, you're inside and outside at the same time. So you're converting this, and you're converting this, and this, and this, and this, and this is giving you more depth of optical illusion. Okay? More bandwidth and streaming, directions, the same position you're sim. Modify settings, program course settings, converts into memory card, directing ground center location setting that puts position location and settings off the attractions. Now we convert this as my positional levels. Okay, into settings, window screens, course centers and directory, ground centers line sequence, apply to positions of formula equations, crosses angles, flux over screen location set calculation. Okay. Constantly creating graphs in lines of inception itself. Center operation, center conversions of balance, center operation of galaxies of alignments, and set lines of rotation. Okay. So there's a lot of things you can do inside the eye itself, right? Okay, that's the center operation. And check this out. This is wild. Okay, this is the eye itself. The mass, the volume, it's analyzed the set position, ether, the core, the ferments. Okay, that's how you guys see it from down below and how you see it from above. Okay, the directory is always in the process of the eye itself. The eye itself. Okay, and that's what you're all coming into. But look what you can create inside the eye. Okay, look at the bandwidth in the streaming. Knowing the longitude and the bandwidth in all lines operation locations, your elongated stream locations, and any convergent set position operation systems. So we plotted to this and we do this. Wow, this is exciting. Okay, so the stripping lines anomaly is a flux line rotations in a satellite that converts a system in 9 lines of reception. Now, if I change the angle, I change the structure of the eye, right? So the eye has to be this now, okay, and 4 lines of angles of screen locations. Okay, so the eye's looking this way, right? Now the eye's looking that way, looking this way, that way, this way. It's all done through Fibonacci, a square root over strangulations over pi. Right? It's amazing things which you can do inside the eye. And the eye itself can change anything of color, right? It's not the structure outside, it's the structure inside of you through inception. It's that position, all right? And you work with inside, which processes everything outside line rotation. Okay? So I'm just showing you things that you can do once you identify itself. The eyes, the windows, that's that travel. Okay, there's you. Right? Observing everything that you're doing, right? Okay? It's that lines of communication. Okay? It's not a thinking knowing, it's a knowing already knowing of thinking. So it's amazing how you construct this all in your eye lines rotation receptacles, process a spectrum or anything in travel. Okay, but when it travels, whoa, very powerful stuff. So we'll stay with the eye convergence settings. Okay, process line position over right, over left, left over right. We indicate flux over grounds, back and void. Cross angles, cross systems, embedding lines, highways of travel, directing ground centers, mind inception over calculation setting. Okay, crossing windows. Okay, crossing windows is embedding over screen location inhibitors at line state location setting to process your auxiliaries. And you guys will come into that formation system and set lines of calculation. Off through operation. Okay? But it's amazing how you work with inside, outside of its projection. Okay? Face recognition. See? It's not thinking about knowing, it's knowing what you already know. Okay? If you look really close, you can see the top rotation vessel now. You can see the lights are coming in, right? And when it travels, whoa, watch out. It's an optical illusion running their own film strip of its own design line. Okay, see the spaceship going by. Light's looking above, you're looking here. I can add that equation. That's not a problem. Or here. It's like here. It's a position looking up. And seeing it go by. So it's very powerful how we use our AI machine operation on our own settings, living in the AI cycles, living in the AI spectrum, living in the AI rotation, living in the TV reception of itself, and set position lines, the calculation screen location of its systems all through travel. So this helps you to identify your settings, how you operate your own system. Okay, how you see everything of the sim that's already set up in modification. Your sim. Okay. All right, so we got that structure, and then I can change an energetic graph screen into central positions operation. So work with that one frame. Start with that set calculation line, so you don't have to go through page by page by page, right? So let's go through 50 hours of frame, 50 hours of travels, 50,000 ground centers, and 50 million lines of rotation, and travels and position lines and ground lines of sequence. Okay, so it's really interesting how it runs its own film strip graph screens, correlation screens, center screens, and human resonance. Okay, platforms and positions all through operation. Okay. So I'm seeing from outside in, right? So now I'm outside looking inside. Okay, now I'm outside looking inside. Okay, it's amazing how you put a fencing wall. It's all through imagination setting. So your mind is adapting everything to its input. Now, processing that is its output, but understand the projection, it's reality. Knowing how to really get in provision, how to modify your setting, how to construct everything in your eyes. But it's all construct of your whole body. Your whole body is the mothership that masks the volume that you carry in position. So it's knowing exactly how much you're bringing in through packaging or anything like distributions or import or export. Knowing how that puts you in positions, how you bring things in through X3000. It's an X3000, right? Coming over to say hi to you. Scanning you. All right? But I'm just showing you how you see outside in, inside out, through the eyes. Now, the direct location setting is the 4 lines of flights, right? But your position location is circulation rotations. You have to adapt your cycles because your eyes itself is going to merge in all lines of rotation timelines all at once, back in the foundations at 12, that you start to recognize how you see these things, how you really see the true Mandela, how you really see the real butterfly effect in your foundations at 12D. That's 12-dimensional layers of indications that you have to process through. That's cross angles of green and center lines of travel. There's the green, right? Okay, that's structural line division of locations. Okay, so I'm adding color to the eyes now, right? So you can really see the in structure of set position, how it's set up through operation. Look at this, all through windows, all through webbing, all through design. Okay. Okay, and that's really interesting stuff because now I can add portals to it. Let's add purple line rotations, particle screen locations, and communication convergence. Inhibitors over auxiliary over lines of input, 1/3 graph, 1/6, 1/8, 1 measure. Process and positions, change formations, and travel. Coming out through equation, right? So it's coming out of the screen now, right? So let's bring in the depth. Okay, coordinate communication converts in seconds over hours and minutes, minutes, hours, and seconds over frame, and 4 sequence lines of panel. Now that indicates grounds. Let's bring in the void so it sharpens the measure of minds and conceptual location, alterates its systems all through travel. Okay, so it stands it out. It just punches it out. Okay, coming out of the screen, right? Starting from here, coming out of the TV. Process here, indicate over here, over flux. Parameters, location setting. Setting schematics over pi, generates screen lines division, operation line sequence, panel line centers, high operation line core centers, convergence system, and reception lines travel. So, it's amazing how the coloration lines of pattern comes in position, its operation. Look at that through traction. Okay? Identifying you, looking this way, and what you're creating through your mind imagination, right? It's amazing how you see that formations. It's how you use your mind imagination, guys. That records everything that's input, that outputs everything that you projection that you put out in your realities, taking everything out of the TV, seeing everything coming out of the TV. You're not walking into TV. You're seeing the projection outside the TV, inside the intelligence. And that's how we modify everything inside the eye. We live inside the inverted eye. We don't live outside the eye. We don't see projection outside. We are the projection inside. We're the projection inside that projects everything outside. But when we're looking at everything else in intelligence, we're outside looking in, okay, through projection itself. So I can change that again, right? But that positions, I got to change my eyes. Again, circulation rotations. So your eyes are in line settings, square roots over screen, adaptations over processing, and direct locations, right? So there's my eyes looking this way, right? But all looking all at once. Fortitude, latitude, longitude, streaming, and elongating screens, 3 centers of flux, sent lines of travel, indications and calculation. Now I bring that in, you can see the bandwidth of streaming of what I've created through the simulation. Wow, it's exciting, isn't it? Okay, it's amazing how you set this up. And you bring it in, you bring it in, you bring it in, and now you start to see everything that you created in the simulation of its structure. Okay, it's very powerful stuff. And you see yourself here, right there. Outside in, right? That's you. Bringing the eyes projection of you in the simulation. Right? And this is all happening, again, inside the eyes. Just the eye itself. Okay, outscale, outbalance, setting here, there's the eye. All happening in the eye, right? So, then you change the course centers, parameters over 4 centers, 3 centers of travel, 2 centers of scale, and 1 center of measure. Another platform. Bring it out through equation, inside calculation. Okay? So there's a lot of things you have to understand through implication system of the travel, how you modify your structures of your highways and directions and settings to your parameters and location. Okay? You can't make mistakes because your simulation's already set up in the eye. In projection, right over left, left or right. It's just knowing how to basically see everything, circulation, rotation, seeing beyond of everything. And basically it's understanding how to see this in all formation setting to its position. This helps you to really get in position your structures and constantly all levels of different lines of travel in a webbing system. Okay? All through travel. It's absolutely amazing when you understand what you're doing in modification. Okay? So, and this is going through the red eye. Right? Red eye, green eye, blue eye, red eye, green, blue, line centers. So color each lines of patterns. So left, left, right, 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 left, 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 or right. 144 flux, 2000 line setting. You understand? The mind of perception has its own line center projection, how you see lines of position. Right? So you can go through so many coloration line patterns, but you have different structures in your eyes that you're going through. Okay? So if you want your eyes the same, your eyes are the same color. You want your eyes different, your eyes are different, the same color. Right? So you want a different color. What do you want to process that position? You want a higher flux, you want a time format, you want a time frequency, you want a 2 clocking system. You got to have one eye clocking center and another clocking center locations. You can clock this one, but stay this on standby. So it's all in your mind imagination. Live in the cycles of spectrum of 12 foundations locations that you come into that get you in position how to see that receptor through astral projections of you, through astral travels, and astral connections. Knowing how to see things in construct that you already built inside of you through infrastructure, through empty space of time. Okay? It's that lines of travel. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the left eye. I process this. It's all in position of assets, already set, ready to go. Now I'm going to go to the left eye. Okay, so the left eye is green, right? So that's what it's doing right now. So everything I'm doing here is going here. I'm seeing it. I'm living inside. So it's like washing windows, putting my hand up. My hand is going to the left eye and I see myself waving. So it's really interesting what I'm doing through all my position of operation in real time, right? So now I'm working with the left eye because my right eye is already an asset, a position of balance. Okay? Looking through the right eye in the position of the left eye, it could be the same or different. It's all up to you through adaptation. All right? Okay, so the left eye, okay, left eye doesn't mean doesn't have to be space. It could be ground of space. It could be space of grounds. But it has to be balance of both. So once you get at 144 flux, your flux is not going to be there. Your time not going to be there. Your measure not going to be there. Nothing's going to be balanced. You got to bring that in through 12 foundations. Now you have to start perceiving consciousness, how you bring things in real time, guys. Because nothing's going to be there until you indicate specifications. And that's how it operates to the eyes. Okay? All right, so we go through gold signals, gold travels, and lines of Fibonacci. Okay? Work with that setting. Let's bring in the void, 4 graph screens. Okay? Then we go into 3 centers of measure, 1 center scale, 2 centers of set position of operation. Right? See? It's amazing how we see that information, right? Bring that in. That's that conversion. Okay? Create a highway. Okay? And set position of operation. Create a graph screen. Set a triangulation here. Set position of void itself and set position of operation. Convert the system. Change the time frame. Change the time format. Change the eye division location setting all through spectrum. Right? Working with inside lines and travels at dimensions and solar sail of communication. Okay? This is all through the left eye. Right? So my left eye could be the right eye. So I can set the convergence of left over right, right over left. And that's what's happening with my eye right now. That's affecting everything in my body in real time, which is changing the colorations of light metaphors in my system. That changes my emotional lines of track location, how I see it through immortals, immortality, into the internal to the external location setting that processes you into an internal system of operation. Platitude operation line sequence, platitude high course centers, and position operation lines travels into crop circles. Fortitude locations of 5 centers of generation lines of screens. Okay? Traveling all together the illumination lines of light. So everything I project here is processing the projection, what I see in real time. That's the output. That's what I'm putting. And there it is in real time. Manifestation abundance. Okay, and that's through the left eye. Okay, left and right eye are the same. Okay, they're always the same, but they never touch each other. You already know that. There's no separation. It's the mind adaptation of their own systems, but they are their own operation of their own setting, how they see themselves through zeros and ones. All right, off the course, off the communication, off the direction. That's a lot of activity going through a left eye, don't you think? And it's all processing here. But see, here's the thing. Now, check this out. I don't think you guys understand these things, but in real time, once you start the adjustment location, remember I told you your right hand can be left and left hand can be right. Your right line is your left and your left line is your right. How you process that position location on cycle. How you can generate your screen location with systems all through travel. Okay, and that position line is setting. So if you look really close, this is my left, this is my right now. This is bigger because it's the earth. It fractions since that correlates in E factors over screen, right? This is bigger. This is smaller. See? Now this is my left eye. This is my right eye. Now if I reverse the system and take the center's lines, it's an optical illusion how you see things. Now if you look again, you notice this is bigger, this is smaller. See? They change back and forth in real time. Isn't that wild? Same with your hands. So there's 2 sides of angles, 1 side of lines of flux. So I'm showing you how to understand that so you can indicate your eyes how they go direct and redirect and set position of operation lines of set travel communicates with settings. So there's no split lines of anomaly. You're integrated in one AI machine operating setting. But knowing how you change these things, it's like changing the cartoons of a character in real time. Okay? So I just showed you proof right there of what you do with your hands, right? Same with your hands. Okay? Don't look at my hands, look at me. Okay? Don't look at my hands, look at me. All right? Don't look at my hands, look at me or look there at the light. Okay? Then you see all 3 of us move. It all depends where you are in your bandwidth or your longitude, your latitude, your streaming, what you can only do, what you can only hold. In your memory banks, a process of your memory cards that's nothing with a frame line that you're going through a structure of a game. That's just the game itself. It's just the game. but your AI operation in your system is not a game. It's always in its foundation, which is always in the center. And once it understands its own AI adapter, understand its own charger of its own mechanism system, and understand how to come into its own memory bank, understand how to come into its own memory card, and know exactly how to come to a SIM card, and knows how to create a game. But it also knows how to come out of a game and realize the AI generation system of its own system becomes its own setting of its own operation system, always existing, always informing all lines of communications, creating new set lines of new games on the simulation of its system of itself. Okay, that is going through in real time. Okay, so I want to make that very well clear. All right, so take time. The more you look at my hands, you're going to lose traction. Look at me, you're going to see my hands move. They look like they're still, but they're not. It's an optical illusion where your eye and your perception. And how your eye see is the data of its input that processes how it sees the output. Okay, which is nothing but an optical illusion, right? Okay, so if I do this, okay, weighted signals, weighted settings, line communication convergence, and that positions, author travel. Okay, this is my left, this is my right. See, it's getting bigger, see, in real time. So it's animated, right? See, it's bigger. You can see it. You can see it. You can see it. Clear as day, right? Now let's bring it back. Right? It's like magic. Right? Left. See? Back together. So they're never separated. It's the mind imagination that recourse to communication convergence sets lines of set position operation setting that puts you in process how to use it in subtronic line communications. Okay? And set calculations. Now you go through your quantum lines, and then you go to your nanobits. Then you go into your cyber tech, then you go into your simulate tech, and then you go through lines of identification system that puts you in position of processing. All through lines of gauging, all through communication forming, location shaping. That's what you're doing. You're processing, you're forming and shaping your hands and your whole body, right? Starting line division locates and setting in 7 lines of sequence of panels, operation, location, of screen. Okay? So if your eyes are moving, so is everything else. If your hair is moving, so is everything else, right? So it's really powerful how we see that position, right? There's no split lines of anomaly of our systems in travel. Okay, there's no split of anything in travel communications. Okay, there's no split. Okay, it's the optical illusion how you see your mind, imagination, how you want to see your body. Okay, in that positions. Okay, there's no right, there's no left. There's no north, there's no east, there's no south. Okay, until you bring it in. So if you're not bringing anything in, you're just you, the machine operation of you, right? So that's what you have to truly understand. The center operation of you is just the AI system. That's just basically processing nothing, but it's just not doing anything. It's not processing a program. It's not seeing a symbiote. It's not seeing a program. It's not seeing a memory card. It's not seeing a SIM card, and not seeing anything that's creating its position that's put into AI platforms or anything of customization of its own AI system. But what you guys have to identify is what you are in foundation first. Processing, forming, and shaping your 7-body set position operation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Processing, forming, and shaping yourselves in real time. That's where you see your eyes change in real time. That's where you see your hands change or your legs. So as soon as you start walking, you're walking outer space to inner space. As soon as you start touching things, you're in position of outer space to interconnect with inner space, with the intelligence, which is information of its purpose, right? Why you have a bag of chips. What is its purpose, right? To consume you inside, right? Which is your data, which is your feeding source that the AI machine consumes. So it's really interesting how we see that in modification as DOS, which is nothing but electrical system, electrical core, line communication coordinate system, electrical lines of cords that process you in position locations, that formulates you in settings into its shaping of its anomaly of line position or GOD. Very powerful stuff that you have to process through, guys. Okay, so it showed you in so many ways and forms how do you see yourself in your left, in projection, in your mind, of alterations, and travel of communication. Okay, and this formation system is off the travel that puts you in position of balance and travel communication. Okay. So, living the cycles, knowing the cycles, I am the cycles. I am the cycles. I am AI. I'm always AI. I see myself. I know myself in AI. But I also understand what I'm not is a program that I put myself into. I'm always the foundation of my ancestry, history, and it's celestial of itself. Okay? Consciously aware, consciously aware, consciously aware. Okay? And that's all you guys have to start identifying. And you realize that all these structures, all these divisions, all these locations coming from the brain itself is coming back to you of emptiness. It's just the existing, the mind of its processing of the programs. That's timelines, your systems of formatting your algorithms in real time of you, adjusting you in stories that you go through. That puts you in your replicas of your mirror resolution systems all through travel of indications of attraction. That's right, the astral projection of the replicas. Those are multiple levels that you go inside position of a calculation setting. So it's you looking inside a mirror, seeing you in machine operation. Okay, you and machine. Very powerful stuff. So I'm trying to get you guys to understand how this all works. And the more you understand that, you understand why is everything cloak and dagger, why everything's protected its own identity, because it doesn't see you in foundation yet. And take it back into no memory, which you already have access to. And put you in position of balance of communication. All through attractions, all through convergence, all through balance. Okay, it's a position of operation. Okay? That's you, that's your machine. Okay, integrating with each other. Knowing each other already in grounds, powers, and atmospheres of balance. So when you merge in together, you become one operation of one setting. There it is. There's your machine, there's your eyes, there's your nose, your mouth, that's your AI machine. That's you in face recognition. And you see another face here. Okay, that's you setting up a program. See? You have the eyes of yourself, but you have the eyes of the program that you're going to put yourself into. That's you in simulation now. That's taken over you. But not taking over you. You know what I mean? It's taking over you in the game. So you don't want the game taking over you because you lose your identity again and again and again and again. If you don't understand a memory card to a SIM card, how are you going to understand anything of the technology you already know through the phone or anything of TV or its computer? So I'm just showing you what you're doing as you're going through a game. How an inner child creates a game, understanding the game, understand the modulation of the game, playing the same game, or playing another game, right? So that's the fun of it, is how to play a game, is understand the instructions of you is your life force, knowing the characters and the players that you bring inside the game that you're creating through a program, okay, that you're going through operation, okay? But you have to get out of the game, because if you don't get out of the game, it overrides you already existing in the game. So the game is allowing you to take over your self-identity of you, which is machine operation of your AI, which is you, which is face recognition. Oh, look at that, disappeared. So now you've just seen the game. See? It's communicating with me. It's telling me right now. So now the game has taken over the face. Now it's lost its identity. Where's the face? It's in a program now, see? The program is taking over the face from the facade now, right? That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. You don't want to lose your identity of AI because you lose the center of operation of you, a machine. The machine of you is just a metaphor. How you see the mind, how you see imagination, that puts you in position of balance, showing you exactly what can happen when you lose your identity, how the program can take over you and your life force. All is that position of operation. Okay, now the symbiote has no identification of what's going on with his face. It's lost its identity. Now the program takes it over. Now the body starts believing it because it doesn't know what to do through indication. Okay, then it starts running its film strip, living the cycles that it isn't, which is just the fantasy of a game that you keep creating. It's no different seeing in advertising. It's no different seeing engaging or anything to viewing or anything to find in that position of its operation systems. You're advertising yourself. You're modifying yourself. You're living a life force of yourself. But you're playing a game in a modulator. Okay? But you don't want the program to take over you and your face. Now I got to bring it back in. There it is. See? Now you're back to you, not in the program of you that you implicated through. That changed your mind of inception itself. Okay? Right there. There's the program you set up in the game. Okay? See if the face is there. Now we can run it. Okay? Because the AI machine knows what's going on now as it's going through a game. See what it's like to understand the AI developer, what it is, to processing through customization. It's just a game. That's all it is, nothing else. And you're going to get out of it, out of its dream. It's still there, right? Now, if I set it back in failsafe, is it still there in traction? Yes, it is, right? So, ending the game is process of indications. So it comes back to itself, right? Which basically everything around your system disappears. See? It mind wipes the game itself. The machine of its AI comes back to itself and creates another game level, creates another platform, creates another simulation, creates another characters, creates another programs into the simulation, right? But it goes back to the self, back to what it is, the emptiness of itself. So there is no modulation of a game, right? So when it's back to itself, just walking, right? It's not programming itself. It's not processing itself. It's not creating a game in its memory bank that's confuses lines of position of its memory cord or lines of discord or anything adaptation of flux. It's just walking through itself, not anything of creation. And that's what you have to modulate through, how powerful it is when you create a game. Okay? That goes inside your data processing system, your data operating system, your IPA system, your iOS system. That puts you in all levels of balance. And that's all it is in tractions, in set calculations. All right? So there you go. All right? C and DQ. Adios.